Welcome to the new Tortilla Flat Museum. From the outside, it's same old school that you've probably seen for decades. But when you walk in, you'll see that Andrea and I have spent months on a fairly intensive labor of love to bring you a whole new way to see the history of this location. Feel free to ring the bell when you come in. Announce yourself as a part of the new history. If you've been here before we did all this remodel, you may notice an entirely new look that's far more intentional, structured, and put together in a way that will hopefully really give you an experience. We'd like to have you start when you first walk in. You're greeted by a brand new section for guest books signing. That book right there, every morning you'll see at least 5 or 6 different states appear before noon. It's amazing. This used to be in the center of the floor, this little safe and desk setup. So as you walk around, you'll see a little honor tribute to all of the celebrities that have been here over 100 years. There's been a lot more. We found Gary Busey was here once getting drunk on the patio, and that was pretty cool. There's a couple new features. That represents Stories about ghosts rattling silverware all over town over the last 100 years. And here we have a really cool new feature. You pull this and it rings the bell. The school bell that's on top of the building. In case you're not sure what to do, there's your instructions. One of the new additions to the museum we're really proud of, and we're really excited to be able to work with, is this area here. That all was a wall, and back there was pretty much just storage and junk stuff. It was empty and unused. Now the school itself is a replica of a school that used to exist across the river. And all of the dimensions in the space are matched from what it used to be. This little space used to have up to 14 students in it. We're not sure how. Hopefully they were all just little midgets in that little desk, I guess. But back in this area used to be the teacher's quarters. So when the teacher would show up for the week to do her job, that was where she would stay. It's barely the size of a bunk beds. But we got to use that space in a way that we're really proud of. Like, let me show you what we've got. When you step inside this little teacher's lounge, we maximize the space to tell some pretty great stories. The first thing you'll find is this entire area of describing the geography, the trails, and the actual facts about the Superstition Mountains. This wall has 3 of the major stories that, as fantastic as they might sound, are actually true. We have the whole column about the Spanish conquistadors that have been in this area. We have an entire column dedicated to the Jesuits, and then the stories that you've probably heard. Jacob Waltz, the Peralta Stones, etc. This section we're really proud of. It represents the 3 major tribes that lived in this area in the Tonto Basin, the Salt River Basin, the Hohokam, Salado, the Apache. We wanted to show the world that if it weren't for these tribes, we probably wouldn't have a civilization in this area. They dug canals, built the Apache Trail, created agriculture, and did a lot of 1,000 years worth of work that prepared the way for this entire area to be possible. We found that to be a lot more compelling than describing the Apache Wars for the 1,000th time. We found lots of artifacts. There's been artifacts that have been here since the town was a stop in 1904. I think you're going to get a kick out of seeing some of these. We're going to be rotating what's in here over the months to come. And then this is where we got really happy with the work we've been doing. This is where we literally start a chronological telling of what happened in this town over the last 120 years. What we've done is taken all of the data, all the information, the stories, and the history. We broke it down into like symbolic seasons. When you show up, you'll see these frames in the top left corner of each of the color-coordinated seasons. They tell the story of the town in a way that we found was kind of funny as we went through it. We realized this town has been flooded and burned down probably 3 different times, and that's where it ends. It usually begins with, the town burned down and then it was destroyed, and after it was rebuilt, then it flooded. And after the flood was destroyed out the town and it was rebuilt, then there was another flood. And then after the flood was rebuilt, there was another fire. And after the fire, it was rebuilt. Now we have the current century we're living in. There is a lot of information that we took the time to break down, to compile and make it really concise and to the point. And unlike other museums, which are trying to take things too seriously, we have lots of senses of humor and snarky comments and sarcasm written into pretty much every one of these. Andrea and I really went through an awful lot of work to make sure each of these frames had relevant and enjoyable and meaningful information.